Good morning. Hey, Data. Good morning to you. And you first one in today. Son of a gun. Oh, man. What a morning. Spanky. Oh, man. Stupid dog. For some reason, he decided that he heard my alarm go off. It took me 3.5, 4 minutes to get out of bed after my alarm went off. That just wasn't good enough for him. Now, I don't understand how it happened because I didn't hear it. But somehow or another, he managed to wake up the wife. And her alarm goes off an hour after mine does. And this little snot woke her up to make her take him out this morning. Absolutely unbelievable that that little snot did that. But he did. And she never did get back to sleep because she laid back down, but I doubt if she went back to sleep. And that just sort of irritates me because then that just wipes her out for the whole day. And being as she works with little ones, that just makes her day rougher. I mean, at least I can take a nap usually. Yeah, half hour, 45-minute nap in the early afternoon if I need to. But not her. She's up until at least, well, she won't go. She'll start falling asleep around 7 if she's had a rough day. But she's stubborn and she won't go to bed before 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. But anyway, now he's asleep here on the couch next to me with his tongue sticking out. One of these days, I'll have to take a picture of him with his tongue sticking out the way he sleeps. That's crazy. Stupid dog sleeping like that. But anyway, I don't, after the wife gets home, after about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, actually, I don't spend a lot of time on the internet. Uh, Mostly I'm listening to audiobooks while I cook and clean. And then, of course, the wife's home. And I may spend some time, watching a couple of TikToks or watching a couple of YouTube shorts, but that's about it. So when I woke up this morning and was checking my news feed, I got a little pissed off all over again about the same individual. And because I got angry about it, you guys get to share my anger about this. Now I'm using the Army website. And if you saw my thumbnail, you'll understand. You'll know exactly how angry I am about this. I'm using the Army website, army.mil. All right. And then the little uh, we've deliberately taken some of our web pages off line in order to comply with executive orders and OSD policy. The intent is to reserve our history, and we're working to republish content as soon as possible. Yeah, that's to get rid of their DEI crap. But anyway, excuse me. Former U.S. intelligence analyst sentenced for selling sensitive military information to individual tied to Chinese government. Former U.S. Army intelligence analyst. He wasn't very intelligent, was he? Was sentenced today to 84 months. Okay, now 84 months is just at 7 years. So that's about 1/10 of the time he should have gotten. Because all it's going to take now, and honestly, I think he should have gotten the death penalty. I think he should have been, as my thumbnail shows. 84 months is way too lenient. 70 years, 840 months would have been a lenient sentence to him. Because he'd still be alive. He should have gotten the death penalty. He should be facing a firing squad. He should not be allowed to be sucking air under any circumstance. Okay? The only air that should be entering his lungs would be the air coming in through the bullet holes. Put into his body. That is the only air that he should have entering his body. Is the air being drawn in as the bullets entering. His heart should be sitting there in a few thousand pieces. Absolutely shredded. There should be nothing left of him. And as far as, if you don't like, or if you don't like that, if you think I'm wrong for saying that, I would love to have you come on and explain to me how it should be any different. Just let me know how it should be any different. For conspiring to collect and transmit national defense information, including sensitive non-public U.S. military information, to an individual he believed was affiliated with the Chinese government. I'm not even going to say his name. Pled guilty in August of last year, to conspiring to collect and transmit national defense information, unlawfully exporting controlled information to China, and accepting bribes in exchange of sensitive non-public U.S. government information. If he did do it for someone higher up data, he didn't say anything about it in his confession. The defendant swore an oath to defend the United States. Instead, he betrayed it for a payout and put America's military service members at risk. The Justice Department remains vigilant against China's efforts to target our military and will ensure that those who leak military secrets spend years behind bars. No, years behind bars is not good enough. Years is not good enough. Decades is barely good enough. Centuries is starting to look good. He should be he should have been taken directly from sentencing out into a courtyard, tied up to a post, had a target pinned to his chest, and shot. No hood put over his head so he couldn't see it happening. Not offered a last cigarette, not offered a final meal. Taken out, tied to a post, and shot. That simple. And let that be a warning for the next individual that decides they want to sell military secrets or any kind of secrets to a foreign country. And I don't care if it's Great Britain, Canada, or Israel. I don't care if who you're selling these secrets to, you're tied up and shot upon conviction. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. Hey, Kay Scholl, how you doing this morning? This sentencing is a stark warning to those who betray our country that you will pay a steep price for it, said FBA Director Kash Patel. That is not a steep price, Kash. I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. That's not, I'm sorry you think that's a steep price. 7 years, that's not a steep price. 70 years is the beginning of the definition of a steep price. But the death penalty is the steep price. The People's Republic of China is relentless in its efforts to steal our national defense information, and service members are a prime target. Damn straight. They used to, again, and I'm going, fully admit, I retired in 1998. But again, these people have no idea, none whatsoever, of the training, it seems, that we went through when we were dealing with classified information in the military. And how important it was that we kept everything from merely, classified confidential on up. I'm glad you're okay, Kay Shaw. I'm glad you're doing well. But when you're in certain jobs, When you're in certain career fields or MOSs or whatever branch, whatever they call it in your branch of the service, you should automatically, if you are convicted of selling classified information or giving away classified information, it should be the death penalty. The penalty should be the ultimate penalty. Because one, yeah, you're no longer going to have access to classified information. You're no longer going to have it. But use you as the example what's going to happen to the next guy that decides he wants to try to do it and think and whether they're trying to decide whether or not he can get away. Well, he only got 7 years. What's the worst that I've got a chance to get a couple $1 million here, and all I'm doing is risking getting 7 years in jail. Yeah, that's worth it. I have that $1 million, have that couple of mil hiding in the bank where they can't get their hands on it. Yeah, that'd be worth doing a couple of years in prison for. But if you know you're going to get the death penalty, that immediately after conviction, you're going to be put out and strapped up to a pole and watch that firing squad come marching out and line up in front of you. Hear the command for them to shoulder their firearms, to shoulder their rifles. Hear the command for them to take aim, and you watch them barrels point towards your measly little chest. Then hear the command to fire. And knowing while you're waiting to hear that command to fire, and you're looking at them people pointing them guns at you, pointing those rifles, that the last thing you're going to see maybe is a puff of smoke, and the last word you're going to hear is fire. Yeah. That's the best deterrent to stopping people from selling out national secrets. Intentionally selling national secrets. That's end of conversation. 7 years in jail is not enough. The FBI and our partners will continue to root out espionage and hold those accountable who abandon their obligation to safeguard defense information from hostile foreign governments. Those who collaborate with America's foreign adversaries put our country and those who defend it at grave risk and will do whatever it takes to hold them accountable for their crimes. Yeah, they're being held accountable. But it's all, 7 years, come on. We will proudly stand in support of our men and women in uniform and work diligently to protect them from people like the defendant who would sell them out for a few bucks. You want to protect them from that next person that's going to try to sell out for a few bucks? Put that fear of God in front of them. let them know, hey, you're going to die. You want to sell our nation's secrets out for put money in your pocket? You're going to die. End of conversation. Protecting classified information is paramount to our national security, and this sentencing reflects the ramifications of when there's a breach of that trust. That sentencing does not reflect the ramifications. That's a slap on the wrist. According to court documents, between May of 2022 until his arrest in 2024, March of 2024, over 2 years, Schultz engaged in the ongoing conspiracy to provide dozens of sensitive U.S. military documents, many containing export-controlled tactical and technical information, directly to foreign nationals residing in the People's Republic of China. Despite clear indications that this individual, who's referenced in the indictment as conspirator A, was likely connected to the Chinese government, the defendant continued the relationship in exchange for financial compensation. In exchange for $42,000. 42 grand. That's the down payment on a house. You can pay cash for some vehicles. Not no serious whips. But you can pay cash for a nice vehicle for 42 grand. But it's 42 grand is a down payment on a house or a decent vehicle worth selling out your nation for? Yeah, yep, his last name was Schultz. I'm not certain what his rank was. I know he's an E1 now. He was willing to send people to their deaths for a measly $42,000. He was willing to see people die. People, possibly people in his own unit, die for a measly 42 grand. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Whether I'm been lucky or unlucky, however you want to look at it, there's been multiple times in my life I've been offered the opportunity to get involved in shady stuff, let's say. And besides the fact that I just grew up knowing that doing anything, like that is wrong, it just went against me as a person. I've always said that if I'm going to do something illegal, there better be enough money there coming my direction for me to buy an island. Excuse me. For me to buy an island somewhere and live the rest of my life without ever being extradited back to the United States and having to spend time in prison. I better be able to live my life out in comfort, extreme comfort, before I'm going to risk doing anything illegal. Schultz provided documents and data related to U.S. military capabilities, including His army unit's operational orders before it was deployed to Eastern Europe in support of NATO. Lessons learned by the U.S. Army from the Ukraine-Russian conflict applicable to Taiwan's defense. Technical manuals for the H-60 helicopter, F-22A fighter aircraft, and intercontinental ballistic missile systems. Right there should have been the death penalty. Right there should have been the death penalty. Hey, morning, Digi. This was a man that sold out military secrets to people he thought was he believed to be Chinese government. He was sentenced to 7 years, 84 months. That's it. Raman, good morning. He also sold information on the Chinese military tactics and the People's Liberation Army rocket force. Details of U.S. military exercises in the Republic of Korea and the Philippines. Hey, Mike. Documents concerning U.S. military satellites and missile defense systems like the high mobility artillery rocket system and the terminal high altitude area defense, and tactics for countering unmanned aerial systems in large scale combat operations. Technical matters for military helicopters and the F-22. And the documents concerning the military satellites and missile systems and the tactics for encountering the unmanned aerial systems, all those, any one of them by themselves should have called for the death sentence. Any one of them by themselves. And instead, he got 7 years. And Raman, I wish he'd gotten a firing squad. I wish he was taken from this sentencing out to that pole and made to face the firing squad lining up and taking aim at him. While a preacher of his choice, of the religion of his choice, was giving him his last words. The conspirator A first contacted the defendant through a freelance web work platform shortly after the defendant received his top secret, sensitive, compartmented information clearances. Masquerading as a client for a geopolitical consulting firm, conspirator A solicited the defendant to produce detailed analysis on U.S. military capabilities and planning, particularly in relationship to Taiwan and the Russian-Ukraine conflict. And of course, the conspirator A, the man or woman, portraying themselves as a member of the Chinese government, start stepping up the game. You know how it shows in the movies. They offer them a little bit for a little bit, something minor, something that ain't no big deal. And then once they got the hooks in them, then they start demanding more and more and more information. That's the way it actually works. They don't just come in and start asking for the big guns information. They start off asking for the little stuff. just to get their hooks in you. Because then that threat starts laying there that if you don't do, they'll turn your ass in. As the relationship progressed, conspirator A's demands grew increasingly specific and sensitive, requesting technical manuals, operation procedures, and intelligence assessments. Conspirator A made explicit his interest in materials that were not publicly available and encouraged defendants to seek out higher levels of classification, emphasizing exclusiveness and CUI and better. Schultz agreed to obtain higher levels of classified information in exchange for money. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. The case also revealed attempts by the defendant to recruit his friend and fellow Army intelligence analyst into the conspirator. At the time, Schultz's friend was assigned to the U.S. Department of Defense Indo-Pacific Command, which is the combatant area command that covers China and its regional areas of influence. Dead Man Walking and Conspirator A discussed the need to recruit another person into their scheme who had better access. They agreed that such recruitment needed to be done in a nice and slow fashion. Conspirator A. Now, they say up at the beginning of the article, the impression that I got up here at the beginning of the article was that Conspirator A was a OSI agent or Army intelligence or something like that, counterintelligence. Uh, just testing people because they do that. They do that. They set up, they want every now and again they'll pick somebody to check them out, make certain that that nobody is doing it because you need to find out. And the best way to find out is to pretend that you're something you're not. Pretend you are a spy for another country. Perhaps if you got a young female that's willing to do it, put up a little honey pot trap. You never know. I mean, yeah, she wouldn't necessarily have to have sex with the guy, but go out with him, pretend that she's very interested in him. But like I said, this man should have gotten the death penalty. I don't know if the conspirator A was actually Army intelligence or if they actually worked for China. All that matters is that this guy, Dead Man Walking, should have gotten the death penalty, not 84 months. Because he is willing to sell out his unit and every other unit in the military for money. All he got out of it was a temporary use of $42,000. Absolutely disgusting. So let's see here. Close that article. Now, this is next story here. Shows exactly how what the Democrats are willing to defend, who they're willing to defend. Deported Maryland man, championed by Dems, was pulled over driving a car belonging to a human smuggler. Close that. The so-called deported Maryland man, Kilmar Garcia, whom the Democrats have been demanding the Trump administration return to the U.S. And all he was ordered to do was all the Trump administration was ordered to do by the Supreme Court was to facilitate his return. If the president of El Salvador doesn't want to release him from the prison, there's nothing the U.S. can do about it. We tried. But, as Pam Bondi said, even if the man did come back to the United States, was released by El Salvador, released from the prison, he would get his flight back to the United States. He'd remain in custody while one more hoop was jumped through, and then he'd be deported right back to El Salvador again. Anyway, this whom the Democrats have been demanding the Trump administration return to the U.S., was previously pulled over by a highway patrol officer while driving a car belonging to confessed human smuggler. Multiple sources in DHS confirmed to Fox News Digital. The sources confirmed documents reported by Just the News that revealed that Brego Garcia was pulled over driving an SUV belonging to Jose Ramon Hernandez Rios, another illegal alien who in 2020 confessed to human smuggling across the U.S.-Mexico border. As previously reported by Fox News Digital, Garcia, the 29-year-old illegal alien who the Trump administration recently deported back to El Salvador, was pulled over in 2022 by a highway patrolman who stopped him after he observed speeding and unable to stay in his lane. So, yeah. This is the guy that the Democrats say need to come back to the states. This is the man the Democrats say need to come back to the United States because, well, he's basically he's got a wife. He's got he his wife is pregnant, and he had a protection order because as a member of the MS-13, there was another gang back in El Salvador willing to kill him. Yeah, we know he's a gang member here, but we don't want, you know, there's a judge that said he was able to stay here because his life was at risk because of his lifestyle. The man was a member of one gang that another gang wanted to hurt. And you think that can't, just because that's, you don't think that's going to happen here in the U.S.? The Democrats have done more to put this man's life at risk than anybody else has. Because now everybody in the world knows where he is. Everybody. And if he gets brought back here to the States, everybody in the world will know where he's at here in the States. No, the man, Democrats, you're fighting the wrong battle. And anybody who has been proven to be a member of MS-13, and what does it take to prove? What gangland tattoos do they have on their bodies? Just look at that. Look at the tats. Where's this one picture at? Let me see if I can find this picture. Okay. MS-13 tattoos. Because somebody was making a big issue about his Barrow's tattoos. Oh no, I want images. I don't. That's not what I wanted. I'm sorry. Oh, I accidentally got on videos, not. All right, here we go. This is the image. Oh, come on, open up image in new tab. Thank you. All right, here we go now. Sorry, guys. Well, Raman, now his wife is saying that everything's good between them and that, you know, those protective orders were taken out a couple of years ago, and he's changed. Okay, now here's Trump holding a picture of Garcia's right hand, and you see that. Okay, he's got and marijuana leaf, a smiley face, a cross, and a skull. Now above it, in order to define what these symbols mean, that is not a tattoo. Those the MS-13 is not a tattoo. It was not meant to look like a tattoo. It wasn't added to it to make you think that that was a tattoo. These were there to explain what these symbols mean. The marijuana stands for the M. The smiley face stands for the S. The cross represents the number 1. And the skull represents the number 3. So those tattoos are real. The MS-13, yes, it was photoshopped on there to show what the symbols meant. Oh my God, somebody photoshopped that. That's not real. That's what a bunch of people on the left were saying. As if you can't tell just by looking at them that MS-13 that we see as MS-13 were not photoshopped on there to show what the images he actually has tattooed on his hand represent. This guy is a scum puppy. We don't need him in our country. But the Democrats want him. The Democrats want him to stay. Unfreaking believable. And somehow or another, I lost that article that I was reading from. I accidentally closed that article. Okay. Uh, you know, Tulsi Gabbard had made an announcement last night. Tulsi Gabbard refers 2 alleged leakers to the Department of Justice for prosecution, with a third one on the way. I don't want to watch the video anyway. Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has made Justice Department referrals against 2 individuals who she's accused of leaking classified information to the press. Yes. Gabbard alleges one of the individuals handed classified material to the Washington Post, and another gave sensitive information to the New York Times. The third criminal referral is on its way, accusing the third leaker of illegally sending material to the Washington Post. Specific material that has been leaked is still uncleared, but the move is widely seen as a warning to other potential leakers against handling sensitive or classified information to the media. Exactly. Remember the Pentagon Papers? You can't get in trouble for publishing something that was handed to you unless you were involved in getting the classified information. As a newspaper, television station, radio station, YouTube, social media personality, it doesn't matter. If you sit there and say, look what I was given, and you broadcast out some classified or sensitive information, you can't get in trouble for it. The person that gave it to you can, though, and should. And these people who are leaking, OMG, O'Keefe Media Group, has got a video out there. I didn't think to grab it. I probably should have. O'Keefe is famous for his the hook that started all this was when the fired government attorney agreed on the mistake that was not a mistake. Oh yeah. Um, O'Keefe, like I said, O'Keefe, or was getting ready to say, O'Keefe is infamous for his little version of honey traps. If you're gay, he'll get somebody he'll get another man pretend to be gay to come over and chat you up and get you out on a date. If you're not gay, if he'll get a sexy little woman or a sexy little man to come up and chat you up, get you out on a date, and see what kind of information they can secretly record out of you. Well, they got this guy from the Defense Department saying that they're doing everything they can to thwart Trump's administration. Now, this is nothing new. There was people making YouTube videos bragging about it the last time Trump was in office, bragging about how they were doing everything they could to stop Trump from doing what he wanted to get done. And every one of them was protected by their union. They couldn't be fired. Which is absolutely disgusting. This is that deep state that you'll hear people like me talk about. You know, you hear the left ranting and raving, moaning and crying about Elon Musk. He wasn't elected. How dare he do what he's doing? He wasn't elected. But they sit there and sing the praises about low-level or mid-level government employees who are doing everything they can to thwart Trump and what he was elected to do. They'll sing their praises and call them heroes. And they're government employees, just like Musk is. They're hired to do what the administration tells them to do, whether they personally agree with it or not. I wish that they could all be fired. I really do. I wish anybody who admits that they're doing everything they can to prevent what Trump is trying to get done, or what any president. When you're a government employee, your job is to do what you're told to do, whether you like it or not. If you don't like it, and you don't like it, that you have that much of a heartburn about it, then quit. Go find a job elsewhere. Just like I got into a discussion with my boss at the hotel a couple of weeks back because I didn't like some of the things going on here recently. If I really don't like what's going on right now, I've got a choice. Do what I'm told to do, whether I like it or not, or quit. That's my choice. I've got two options. Do what you're supposed to do, whether you like it or not, or quit the job so you don't have to do it. Politicization of our intelligence and leaking classified information puts our nation's security at risk and must end. Those who leak classified information will be found and held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. And once again, I'm going the same thing here. I've got no problem with firing squad, death penalty for people who release classified information. Whether you're active duty military or a civilian, you're releasing classified information that can harm the country. You should be facing the death penalty. End of conversation. Cabinet accused the accused leakers of seeking to undermine President Trump's agenda. Hell yes, they're trying to undermine President Trump's agenda. Some of them fully admit it. Some of them fully admit it, that they're trying to do that. And at this point, they should be fired. At a minimum, they should be fired. At a minimum, let me rephrase this. They should be not fired. They what is it? Suspended without pay. Still kept on the books, but you're suspended and awaiting trial. Then, once convicted, terminated, and minimum sentence should be 25 years. That should be the minimum sentence, 25 years, for leaking information to news media. These people, they're put in areas of trust. And they went and applied for those jobs. It's not that Uncle Sam reached out, picked them up, and said, "Here, you're going to do this." They applied to do the job. If they don't like the job that they're being told to do, quit. But the Democrats treat anybody who is attempting to hinder anything Trump wants to do as a hero. And they will fight tooth and nail. They will have every lawsuit out there. They will go before those 260 some odd liberal judges that they've got out there to make rulings that those people will have to stay on the job. They have to keep earning their paycheck because what they did wasn't that bad, or there was some nonsense like that. And I'm just full of stories that made me mad this morning that I read. This is another one. Maryland school suspends a Marine hopeful after American flag controversy. The Baltimore County Public School System there's no alleged to it, that's on video that he was suspended a high school student, a senior, after he pushed his school to hang American flags in 2 of his classrooms that did not have flags displayed as required by state law. Parker Jensen, an 18-year-old Marine Corps enlistee, he's on delayed entry program, DEP, has since sued the school district, arguing he's wrongfully suspended for voicing his concerns about the flags at Towson High School north of Baltimore. long story short, this kid, he only needs 2 classes to graduate. So he's taking these 2 classes. Neither one of the classrooms that are as required by state law had American flags. So he went to the principal's office, said, "Hey, these these classes don't have flags like the law says they're supposed to have." And the principal's office, administration's office there said, "Sure, we'll take care of that." Time passes, still no flags. He goes back up there again, still no flags. There's a picture of this young man. See him with that buzz cut here when he gets in the Marines. He went back. This started in February when he went to the assistant principal. Brought it up again in March. So at the end of March, he went down to the school board office. And knowing his rights as an American citizen, while he was sitting in the office, in the public office of the school board, he started recording on his cell phone. Jensen signed in as a visitor and recorded his actions with supervisors during the visit at the office, which notes there are no signs prohibiting recording, and Jensen has the right to record in a public building. Supervisor emerged from behind a secure glass door and asked the plaintiff if he was asking Jensen if he was recording. Jensen confirmed he was. The supervisor demanded that he stop recording and leave the building despite his presence in a public area and lack of disruptive behavior. He declined to leave, citing his right to be in a public building to file a complaint. 5 minutes later, police officer Smith and 4 other officers arrived responding to a call from the school board staff. Five officers for one 18-year-old and a camera. There must not be any crime in that town. The 5 officers who responded to the scene apparently told Jensen he needed to be a credentialed journalist to record the school board meeting. There is no such thing as a credentialed journalist. There is no such thing as a credentialed journalist. There's no official office anywhere in the country, government ran office anywhere in the country that credentials a journalist. Now, you may have credentials from an organization such as ABC News, NBC News, CBS News, CNN, your local radio station. You may have something from them saying that you are their employee, and it may or may not have the word journalist on it. But that's it. There is no such thing as credentialed journalists anywhere in the country. And it is a direct violation of his First Amendment rights. Because anybody with a cell phone, and in this case, this guy here, anybody with a camera, anybody could be a journalist in this day and age of YouTube's, TikToks, Facebook. Anybody and their brother can be a journalist. All they got to do is say, "Hey, I'm being a journalist today because I plan on reporting on what happens. I plan on reporting it on my YouTube channel. I plan on reporting it on TikTok. I plan on reporting it on Facebook. I'm planning on reporting it on a letter to the editor." That's all it takes. I plan on talking about this to my friends and neighbors. That's all it takes. That the police escorted him out. The police made statements that only reporters can film within their property, which is completely false. They lied to him, basically said what he's doing is unlawful, when in reality, he has every right to do what he did. Townsend High School principal Kimberly Culbertson called Jensen's mother, saying her son was acting unhinged, disrespectful, and was impersonating a journalist and would be arrested and suspended. Baltimore County's public school officials then barred Jensen from all BCPS central office properties until the school district citing his disruptive and threatening behavior, suspended the high school senior until April 8th. He had no hearing or opportunity to contest the suspension before it was imposed. The lawsuit further accused BCPS of retaliating against Jensen's expression of his First Amendment rights, violating his 14th Amendment, and defamation. Jensen argues in the complaint his high schools promoted T-shirts showing LGBTQ pride flags and posted flyers showing immigration support and resources information, all while suspending Jensen for demanding American flags in classrooms and the right to pledge allegiance as required by Maryland law. He's also fighting not only he because of his suspension, he can't go to senior prom. If this suspension, part of the what he's fighting against here in the legal complaint is to have this suspension redacted, removed, whatever from his records. Because being suspended in your senior year, that is on your permanent record. We've all heard this when we were kids. This is going on your permanent record. Well, a suspension as a senior going on your permanent record, that does go up to any colleges that you may decide that you want to attend. Because they're going to request your records from your high school. At least everyone I attended did. And that shows that you've been suspended for everything they say here. You know, what was it? Being disruptive and threatening behavior. You know, that could hurt chances of getting into any kind of college during or after his tour in the Marines. Plus the fact the school was violating state law. Let's not forget that little thing. Maryland state law requiring American flag being hung in every classroom. So, let's not forget that. All right, Dana, let me see what you got there. What video you're showing. I don't understand why I keep getting, good God have mercy. Select everything with a bus. That's a bus, that's a bus, that's a bus. That's a tractor, a car, motorcycle, and a house. Okay. I keep getting these systems detect that you have to show you're not a robot. And I'm not a robot. This is trying to get to my own channel, and I gotta show that I'm not a robot? You gotta be kidding me. Okay, why don't I have any audio here? Oh, okay. Where is this? Here we go. I see what yeah, I saw this data. All right. Yeah, we'll show this. Speaking of, there we go. Easter picture of the Biden family. And old Joe up here, photoshopped in. And I mean, that is a horrible job photoshopping that in. That is absolutely horrible. I mean, just the size doesn't fit. Yeah, I saw that this morning, so I didn't think that much about it. Whoops. I don't know why I'm not don't have any audio here. Oh, there is, it's a tiny, tiny, tiny all the way up there at the top. But yeah, that is an absolutely horrible uh, Photoshop job they did of old Joe there. Okay. Trump had some visitors to the Oval Office the other day or yesterday. And they were sitting there discussing VA, these wounded warriors. And let me bring this up. Oh, come on.
For you bringing back the VA Accountability, Mission Act, community care that were the hallmark of your first term. And we're so excited, sir, to be here. We're honored to be here. And thank you for all you do for our nation's heroes.
Thank you. Who's that picture on there?
That is Joe Biden, and it says, "Let's go, Brandon."
I'm saying, what was that picture? That's right.
I told him he wasn't allowed to ask you to sign it.
That's very good. Well, thank you all very much. Would you like to say anything, fellas? There's a big chance.
All right, so that's all I was wanting to show there. Guy had the "Let's Go Brandon" with Biden on it on his wheelchair. Trump noticed it and got a big laugh out of it. I thought that was funny. That was something worthwhile showing. All right, and the last thing I'm going to show here, because I've got a doctor's appointment here in 45 minutes, so the stream's going to end here after I do this. Because the first part, most of the show today, most of my stuff today has been pretty hardcore. So I just want to show something here, a little lighthearted at the end. So that we just all have a little something to laugh about it in a way. Okay. Here we go. Let's see. Do I have the audio? Let me turn the audio up. And here we go. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 guys line up there to help him do his squats with his weights. Gotta give, that was funny. I don't care who you are. That's funny. Okay. So, anyway, ladies and gents, boys and girls, lefties, righties, and those in between. Damn, that sounds horrible. Anyway, thanks, guys, for coming out and listening to me rant here about that. Uh, because honestly, I wanted to do something about some hearings, but then I got up and I read about that guy only getting 7 years, that traitor getting 7 years. Then I read the article about the leakers. Then I read that article about the kid being suspended simply for wanting American flags hung in the classroom as required by law. And I just like, okay, I can't talk about what I wanted to talk about. I can't do it because these other things at this moment, I need to get them out there. I need to get them out there. But such as it is, I got to get ready for another appointment. I will catch you all tomorrow. Let's see here. Today's Thursday, so everything goes good. We'll have a fun stream tomorrow. Movies, books, television shows, cooking, ramen, maybe dar, and maybe open mic. Who knows? But everyone, have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. As always, be with the ones you love and love the ones that you're with. And have a good day.